It is 1 year now since the tragic events on October 7th in Israel. And since then, the Anti-Defamation League reports that there have been over 10,000 anti-Semitic incidents in the United States, a 200% increase since the year before. Joining us now is Jonathan Greenblatt, CEO and National Director of the ADL. Jonathan, good to have you on this morning. Tough to think back, and it doesn't seem very long ago, and I guess one of the reasons is we still have hostages, that the nightmare continues. Well, it continues for a lot of people. You said something off camera about a day of, what is it? It's
a week of rage.
A week of rage on college campuses. And then initially I was going to say, okay, 1,200 people slaughtered, 100 hostages. It's not rage about that incident. But then I do see in the aftermath, tens of thousands of people have lost their lives too. So it's just, it's not clear to me exactly how we can look at this. Although without the initial incident, would there be 41,000 Gazans dead without the original incident?
Of course not. Look, this is a solemn day, and we need to ensure that we remember those people who were killed. The 1,200 murdered, slaughtered, like you said, the 5,000 plus wounded, and the 101 hostages still there.
They didn't do anything other than go to a music festival or wake up
in the morning. Or
right.
Feed breakfast to their children, or elderly people at a bus stop, right, waiting to take a trip, gunned down in cold blood. But here's the thing. Think about 9/11, right? Nearly 3,000 Americans were killed in the single worst act of terror ever perpetrated on our shores. And on that day, on 9/11, we remember them. Now, it's true that 1 million plus people were killed in the ensuing years in Afghanistan and Iraq. It's true that thousands and thousands of U.S. servicemen were killed, men and women. By the way, coalition forces too. But on 9/11, we honor the memory of those who were killed. And that's it, Joe. No rationalization, no equivocation. So what I would say to leaders today, corporate leaders, elected officials, college presidents, on this day, you remember those innocent 1,200 people. No equivocation, no rationalization. There will be time to talk about the innocents, and every innocent life lost is a world destroyed. But there will be time to talk about them. Today, you remember the Jews who were killed. That's why we're here.
What we saw over the last year, and there were times that it was tough to watch college campuses.
Yeah.
We're not seeing that now, but is the undercurrents, has there been any change in the underlying amount of anti-Semitism? Are kids still scared to go to classes? Are they still threatening?
Look,
are these things happening still?
Last year was like an avalanche of anti-Semitism on these campuses, nearly a 500% increase year over year. In the ensuing months that happened over the summer, college administrators got smart, and many of them adapted their codes of conduct. They instituted new rules where they needed to. So we haven't yet seen the encampments again. That's true. So that's the good news. The bad news is we also haven't yet seen enforcement. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out this week. Joe, you mentioned it. These pro-Hamas groups on campus are literally the same groups that honored, Ismail Haniyeh, the head of Hamas who was killed, or Hassan Nasrallah from Hezbollah. The same groups bring out Hamas and Hezbollah flags, Joe. We will see what they do this week. And if they violate the rules, I hope the college presidents will enforce consequences.
Can I ask you about DEI? Because I look at
Sure.
October 7th, and we were just having a conversation about DEI in the last segment, as a tipping point. I mean, there had been a raging debate about DEI prior to October 7th.
Right.
But in the aftermath of October 7th, things, I think, shifted, and there was an even greater backlash. So there was, Ron DeSantis and Disney prior, and you look at Target and Bud Light and the like. But after October 7th, I think there was a view, and I'm curious what you think about this, among business leaders, many of whom were Jewish, who had been big supporters of DEI programs and supporting minorities. And there was a view, and Bret Stephens, I think, reflected this over the weekend in the New York Times, that there wasn't reciprocity in the same way.
Right.
And that led to a rethinking of some of these programs in a way that I don't think we talk about on TV or is actually talked about in public very often.
Look, I think it's a very good point, and Brett did have a brilliant column on Saturday morning. You can't really say that you're pushing inclusion if you don't, Andrew, actually include everybody. And what these corporate CEOs found out is something that actually we knew at ADL. That many of these DEI programs just didn't address anti-Semitism. They, put people oftentimes in these sort of oppression Olympics.
Right.
And you're either in team oppressor or team oppressed. Mm-hmm. And for reasons that are a bit inexplicable to me, the Jews were always on team oppressor. And that meant that anti-Semitism, despite the fact that it's the largest percentage of faith-motivated hate crimes in this country, wasn't included. The fact that Jews have this history of trauma that lasts thousands of years, not included. That's a problem. And so I think many companies are reconsidering it. Many of them are now also adopting these positions of institutional neutrality because they feel like they've gone too far out over their skis.
Does institutional neutrality work? Because that is the same thing that college, university campuses use.
Number one,
administrations.
It's a good question, Becky. I will say diversity matters. I believe in diversity education, but it's got to be done right. But to your point, institutional neutrality is good. Moral clarity is better. And moral clarity means, again, when we see over 1,200 people slaughtered, by the way, not just Israeli Jews, Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, right? People of different ethnicities, including Arabs, then you simply say this is wrong. No equivocation, no rationalization. So I like institutional neutrality.
Institutional neutrality is what they've been using. You don't think that's a...
I don't think it's enough. It's an insufficient condition. I think moral clarity is better. And look, if our college presidents had demonstrated that before Congress, before their own students, I don't think we'd be in this mess to a certain degree.